Welcome to Empowering Plans, a show dedicated to identifying waste and undue expense in the health benefits industry, discovering ways to maximize benefits while minimizing costs, and empowering employers, administrators, and consultants to emphasize once again the benefit in benefit plan. Today's episode is brought to you by BridgeHealth, connecting self-insured plans to high-quality healthcare and lower costs. Now here are your hosts, the FIA Group's CEO, Adam Russo, Senior Vice President and General Counsel, Ron Peck, and Director Attorney, Brady Bizzaro.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Empowering Plans with the FIA Group. I am your co-host, Adam Russo, and it is absolutely great to be here. Fall is in the air here in Boston. With me, as always, my dear friend, our Senior VP and General Counsel, Ron E. Peck. Say hello, Ron.
Hello, Ron.
And now, for some reason, he just took over the seat, Ron. Look at him.
He's in the middle. He's the cream between the wafers.
We used to have all this space. Now, just so you folks know who listen in, it used to be that Brady had to be invited to the podcast before he would show up. Now Brady just shows up. He just assumes that he's our third co-host.
I think he sleeps here.
He's supposed to be a guest host. He's the host when one of us is sick or one of us can't be here because we're at a conference or something. But is that over? I literally didn't know he was going to be here today. Ron?
Oh, yeah. No, he's the fluffer nutter in our sandwich.
So he's here. He's just the way it is.
Oh, yeah. I'm here.
All right. Well, one of our top attorneys, our Washington insider, or at least he thinks he is. Everyone, please say hello to Brady Bizzaro. Say hello, Brady.
Hello, Brady.
Guys, it's week 2 of football season, okay? Now, I know a couple weeks ago I started making these crazy predictions. I said the Browns would beat the Steelers.
Yeah. Does
we
the
tied.
tie count?
Well, we didn't lose.
That's right. You didn't
But,
lose.
if anybody knows what happened in last week's Browns game, by the way, they literally waived the kicker. I don't think he made it on the team bus.
I think he missed, 2 field goals and 2 extra
Two
points?
extra points in a game. Most kickers miss 2 extra points in a year.
Uh-huh.
Or maybe 2 years in a game. So I'm sitting here to tell you we should be 2-0.
Yeah.
But it's Cleveland. It's the Browns. It's just the way it is. And that shows you, all our clients out there, if you don't think I'm a loyal person, just realize I still watch the Browns, even though they haven't won a game in almost 3 years. Anyways, folks, it's fall. It's renewal season. Everyone's really busy. Before I introduce our next guest, by the way, his name is Mark Stadler. He's president and CEO at BridgeHealth. I just want everyone to know a little bit about Mark. So I've known Mr. Stadler for many, many years. We go back a long way. And I don't say this often. Actually, I probably never say it. I've learned more about this industry and I would say 2 things. One is just in general how to run a company, how to run a business, but also how to maintain and be a great husband, father, and mentor. I learned more from this guy than just about anybody else. So I wanted to make sure I said that, Mark, to our audience because I've learned a lot from you, buddy, and I appreciate you joining us today on our podcast.
Thank you very much, Adam, and I appreciate your kind words. They're way too kind.
Well, I was making half of it up, but I made a lot of it up, Mark. I just wanted to make, we want our guests to feel nice and welcome when they join in. No, but honestly, you are the man, and I know you've done a lot of things. If you don't mind, Brady, maybe we could have you do a little background on BridgeHealth, or we just jump right to Mark and have him do that.
I mean, it's up to you, Mark, if you want to tell us about what BridgeHealth does. You're probably the best person to do that.
I'd be very happy to do it, and thanks for the opportunity to share it. BridgeHealth, we are a U.S. Center of Excellence provider for surgical solutions to large self-funded employers. And we have been around for the last 10 years. We actually started our company as an international medical tourism business back in 2007, and we pivoted the company to a domestic surgical benefit management approach 10 years ago. We work with large self-funded employers from Alaska to Florida and across all the states. We have centers today in 33 states and 100 surgical centers and 700 surgeons that we are referring people to. Our core competency is really using a quality assessment tool to identify surgeons that rank in the top quartile for their surgical specialty. We navigate members of self-funded plans into those. We achieve savings for our customers. We're typically negotiating at about 40 to 50% below a traditional PPO. We bundle the service into a single episode of care for the surgery. We provide concierge service if the member needs to travel to the center. With our footprint expanding, we've been able to minimize travel into our centers, and it's much less of a factor today as we're contracting. We provide tremendous support to that member. We travel them and a companion in for the surgery. We make it simple for them. What our members are getting is we have significantly reduced complications because we're getting them to the right place for the right surgery. Our complication rate is less than 2.5%. Our readmission rates are less than 1%. Our member satisfaction, we have a net promoter score above 90%, and we get people back to work more quickly. So our customers are getting tremendous value add for providing this to their employees. And our providers that we're working with are also getting additional recognition for the excellence that they're providing. They like the BridgeHealth sort of seal of approval, if you will. They're getting better patient outcomes. They're able to demonstrate that in their scores. And the surgeons out there today are really focusing in on specialization, and we're extending their brand for them across the country and bringing patients into them. So it's been a very exciting time. We've been recognized by the Inc. 5000 the last 4 years in a row, which is quite unusual to be able to sustain that level of growth and to do it in healthcare and in kind of a niche.
Just so you know, Mark, we actually did the Inc. magazine 5 years in a row at FIA. So try to beat that. That's all I got to say.
Well, there
That's all I got to
you
say.
go.
Hey, a really quick question. You obviously, you came from HealthSmart. You were their CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer there. And that's how we actually got to know each other back in the day. You had a lot of options. Why BridgeHealth? What was it? I mean, you went from being, let's be honest here, you're working at a TPA, right? You're the administrator. You have all the plans. You're working with different vendors. You're working with different companies to try to reduce costs. You went from that world to now being one of those vendors, one of those potential partners. What was the jump, and what would you say is the greatest thing about your job? And then what's the one thing that you're like, that's the one thing about this job that's not the greatest thing in the world?
Well, first of all, I came over to BridgeHealth because I was a customer of BridgeHealth when I was at HealthSmart. And I loved the value proposition, and I was just passionately involved in developing a product we were trying to do at HealthSmart. And when BridgeHealth came to me about this opportunity, I jumped at it because what we do is transparent. Everybody can see every nickel that flows through this system. And I've been in the business for 40 years. And I've always wanted to be as honest and transparent as I could in everything that I did. And there is nothing but transparency in what we do. So you can see every nickel flowing. The surgeons are winning. The member, most importantly, is winning because their employers are waiving deductibles and copays to get them into these high-quality centers. And the employer is winning, netting out with significantly lower costs than what they can get delivered through their traditional PPO. So for me, it was a no-brainer. And also looking at realistically the state I'm at in my career, it was like I would love to finish my career with a position like this. So I pursued the job once I knew that it was available diligently, and I'm really delighted to be here. What I love, I've always loved working with customers. Some of our clients, we've got some big brand names, and we've got some, mid-sized companies. We've got a great relationship with Meritain, where they are embedding our product into their offering. I love that because we can really partner with people and truly make a difference. And we are impacting cost. It's bottom line. We're driving costs down while we're driving quality up for the member. I'll be honest, I love being the CEO of a company, being able to provide the strategic guidance to the organization and driving a culture of success and a good culture here. Adam, you've been a role model for me in terms of, how you drive what a culture does to help you drive a business and really serve your customers well. And I believe we're doing that here at BridgeHealth. The part I hate about it, hate is a strong word.
Oh, I know it is. That's why I asked you.
Yeah, but it's, it gets frustrating, and I always have to bring it back that it's ultimately my problem. But how do you communicate the value of a program like this when so many people are looking for a quick fix.
Right.
They're looking for cost. They come to us saying we're very attracted to the quality aspect, and there's a tremendous savings by shifting to quality. But when we see the final decision making of people succumbing to a quick fix, quick cost, no focus on quality, I worry for our plan sponsors sometimes that if they're asking somebody or mandating somebody to go outside of a regular program or to a specific provider, are they, creating a fiduciary problem for themselves by going somewhere where they're steering to cost without an eye to quality?
I'm going to turn it over to Ron on this, but I want to preface this first before Ron takes over. Ron, you've brought this up so many times. When we focus on reference-based pricing, for example, and everyone's focused on the bottom line cost, a lot of people really don't look at the quality metric. They don't realize that, sure, that one surgery might cost less, but their infection rate or the readmission rate at that particular facility could be off the charts. People aren't necessarily looking at quality as well. They need to do both, and that's why we wanted Mark on the phone. But Ron, add a little bit to that, because even tying a little bit on that fiduciary piece that he was talking about.
Yeah. Mark, that really resonates with me, and I'm so glad you brought that up. People talk, for instance, internally, we have different programs where we create steerage to one provider or another. And when we're determining where to steer people towards, we're not only looking at the price, but we're also looking at the quality metrics, because it really is sort of a scoring that's based on both. Because as we know, sepsis and bed sores and things like that are pretty expensive to treat, and you're not doing anyone any favors in those situations. And I tend to agree with you. I think that we throw the word fiduciary out there, right? And people, plans, employers, TPAs, brokers, they've asked, maybe not necessarily even about being a fiduciary, but just in general, if I somehow influence someone to go to hospital A instead of hospital B, and there is a complication, am I taking on some sort of additional legal liability?
Right. We've had that question actually recently from one of our clients who did exactly that.
Exactly.
They forwarded a particular patient to a certain facility, and then they had an issue at that facility.
And that's why we've told them you need to be able to show, if a tribunal, if anyone ever looked at you and said, what did you do to avoid these complications, you need to be able to show them that you did look into, you did research, you did take into consideration quality and not just cost. And the question I have for you, Mark, is in order to really dig in and know who these providers are and the quality metrics and things like that, you need to actually engage with them. We have the good fortune of talking all the time to TPAs and plans and people who are from the payer
Everybody.
side. Very rarely do we get to talk to those who get to talk to providers. And I've got to ask you, what's it like engaging with these providers? What is their feedback? What is their attitude regarding a program like this?
How do you just measure, one of the hard questions I got here is, how do you attract the providers? Is a good one, Ron. But Mark, how do you guys measure quality?
I mean, how does that whole dialogue take place?
Yeah.
I took my question,
Sure.
Adam.
So first of all, we don't measure the quality. We use CareChex, which is an independent quality rating organization, and their scores are shared with the provider and with the facility, so they know what their CareChex score is. We have been careful to not be the one that is determining quality. We are not qualified to do that, but we're using a third-party quality rating and scoring system. When we go and talk to those providers, so I'll give you an example. I went and met with the provider who is the number one total joint surgical facility in the United States. And I thought, they're not going to want to talk to us. We went in for a 30-minute meeting and 2.5 hours later walked out. These folks are looking to expand their brand. They want to bring patients to them. They know that what they do exceedingly well, and they want to do it for everybody. They're building out their business models to enable it. They are very interested in having someone who can connect them to self-funded employers, because they know that's the market for them. It's not the insurance companies. They have contracts with insurers, but they want to have this avenue, and they love being able to say, look, as a fiduciary, you're sending somebody now to the number one center, and by the way, they take the risk for any complication of surgery. So there's an added value there that you go through a traditional PPO and there's a complication. That complication is charged to the plan sponsor, oftentimes at above discounted charges because you go above stop loss levels. Within our contracts, that provider is responsible, oftentimes up to 5-6 times the value of the underlying bundle, to fix any problem that occurs and to take responsibility for any complication of surgery. So it's protecting the plan, it's protecting the member. But I told you what our complication rate is. It's extremely low because the other thing these surgeons are doing, they get the medical records on a case and they look at it and they say, yeah, we agree the person needs surgery, but not that one. And since we're at risk, here's the surgery that we will do. So you get an expert second opinion in the process. You get the right surgery done at the right place at a very favorable price with protections.
Hey, Mark, really quick. So basically what you're telling us is that stop-loss carriers love you, huh?
They should. I mean, this takes such pressure off the spec. It's incredible. I'll give you an example. We have a customer that, and we've actually shared this at some SIA meetings, but a customer, and I'll use round numbers, had 100 knee replacements done in their population during a 1-year period of time. Of those 100, 80 of them came through a BridgeHealth screen and through one of our quality centers with 0 complications. The other 20 went through traditional means. Of those 20, 11 had complications that cost the plan $650,000.
What do these people actually do at this organization? Are they like treadmill runners? Like they test treadmills? I mean, how do you have 100 people with knee replacements?
Adam,
hey, I'm impressed with your numbers, Mark. Trust me, they're awesome. That's amazing. No complications. What company is this? Like, this is crazy.
I was going to say, Adam, it's a very needy plan.
Oh, my goodness.
That's all, folks.
Brady, please save him. Save him, Brady. Save him.
Hey, Mark, I want to stick on this theme of measuring quality and on how hard that is to do. And you mentioned CareChecks as one of the vendors that you use to provide scoring. I was curious about, like, do you have a range of scores that if a certain provider falls below that, you're like, oh, okay, they're not good enough? Or what do the scoring mean? I mean,
yeah, so the scoring mean we if they fall below the 75th percentile in terms of clinical outcomes of their quality score, so ranked against all of their peers across the country, they're using CMS data that is risk adjusted for a commercial population. It's extremely credible data. So anybody who doesn't fall who doesn't rise above the 75th percentile, we don't contract with them. If a provider that we contract with, let's say they're at the 85th percentile in 2016 and they fall to the 70th percentile the next year, we remove them from any surgical scheduling until they can bring their score back up, and we let them work that through with CareChecks to look at their caseloads, and it may take them a year to come back into the program. And it's by clinical specialty, so it's not orthopedics. It would be shoulders, knees, hips.
Gotcha.
For their clinical subspecialty within the specialty.
And I know you said you operate right now in 33 states. How many facilities are we talking about that you guys have this scoring done on?
The scoring is done on every hospital in the country. The scoring doesn't apply to ASCs, but it's also done on any surgeon in the country. We have centers in 33 states. We have members in all 50 states, and we are serving about 600,000 members today across the country.
Hey, Mark, I just want to say thank you very much for joining us here today. I do have one trivia question because this always intrigued me about Mr. Stadler. So, Mark, I know that you have in your family history, right? I think, Ron, you were there with me when we had dinner that time.
Yes, he told us a very good story.
But your family history is they were the founders of, was it United Freight Lines? Is that the name of it?
Like Mayflower?
Which one was it that you mentioned?
My family has been very involved in the moving and storage business since moving trucks started, and it eventually evolved to United Van Lines.
Right. Van Lines, right.
Right.
My dad owned some large franchises. My brother just retired as CEO of United.
So the reason I bring that up is I really truly believe that Mark Stadler has, like, moving is in his blood. Like, the guy just likes to have Mark just likes to pack stuff constantly. How many times have you moved?
Yeah.
We'll use Brady. We'll have Brady guess. Brady, let's guess. How many times has Mark Stadler moved in the past 20 years?
He's a Rolling Stone.
Let's just pick a number.
Like 4 or 5.
Five. Mark, tell him the number.
Well, it's only been 5 or 6 in the last 20 years, but my wife and I have moved 12 times.
12 times with your wife. And she's still
She's
married
a
to him.
saint. We've been married
12 times.
We've been married
That's a lot.
40 years. She's a saint.
But you've been in Denver now for 2, right?
I live in Dallas. My company is in Denver, so I live between the two cities. We live in Dallas because most of our children are there, and most of
Right.
our 5 of our 7 grandchildren are there.
So think about it. Even at this age, he still can't just live in one city. He literally lives in 2 different cities and calls them both home. It's pretty
but
amazing,
it's
isn't it?
because of the family, Adam, and I think it's a very moving story.
Folks, we had Mark Stadler on today, the president and CEO at BridgeHealth in Denver, Colorado. Mark, it was a pleasure having you today. We've learned a lot about what you do and what you bring to the industry. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you for including me. I appreciate it. Take care, guys.
Thank you. And folks, thank you so much for joining us. That's all the time we have here at the FIA Group. Thank you so much on behalf of Brady, Ron, Pat Santos, our fine producer, and myself, your co-host, Adam Russo. Thank you for empowering your plans with the FIA Group. Have a great day.